This is the Chamber Chat Podcast, the show dedicated to chamber professionals to spark ideas and to get actionable tips and strategies to better serve your members and community. Hello, Chamber Champions. Welcome to Chamber Chat Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Burton, and it's my goal here on the podcast to introduce you to people and ideas to better help you serve your chamber members and your community. Our title sponsor is Community Matters, Inc. With nearly 20 years in the chamber industry and over 100 media awards presented to their chamber partners, Community Matters provides the R&R that every chamber needs: revenue and recognition. When it comes to publishing a chamber map, directory, or community guide, Community Matters has a trusted experience to help your chamber accomplish your goals. With different advertising sales models and publication styles, Community Matters will help you create a non-dues revenue machine. To learn how Community Matters can support your chamber with your next publication, please visit communitymattersinc.com/podcast to request your free media kit and request a proposal to find out what kind of non-dues revenue you can generate. Our guest for this episode is Cindy Cobb. Cindy is the Executive Director of the Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce in North Carolina. Cindy is a lifelong resident of Rutherford County, a product of the Rutherford County school system, and a graduate of Western Piedmont Community College. She and her husband, Andy, have been married for nearly 37 years, have 3 grown children and 2 grandchildren. Her professional career began as a dental assistant. After her children came along, she was a full-time mom and domestic engineer until they became school age. Her father had a well-established independent insurance agency, and after consulting with him, Cindy decided to become a licensed life and health insurance agent. Prospecting and meeting new people was something she enjoyed. Many of these were business owners. While in the insurance business, she was awarded the Rookie of the Year, Top Agent in the Region, Top Agency in the Region, and was a member of the President's Club. Cindy was asked to help visit current chamber members and prospective members temporarily while the chamber looked for a new executive director. A month later, the board asked if she would accept the position of executive director. Cindy's been in this role now for 2 years and is looking forward to many more. But Cindy, I'm excited to have you with us today here on Chamber Chat Podcast. I'd love to give you a moment to say hello to all the chamber champions who are out there listening and to share something interesting about yourself so we can all get to know you a little better.
Well, good morning and hello to all of the chamber champions. You all are just a fabulous bunch of people. And over the past 2 years, I have met so many wonderful people. I have never enjoyed getting up and going to work more. An interesting thing about me is that I am not only a lifelong resident of Rutherford County, my family is lifelong residents of Rutherford County. Before our country was even a country, we were still a British colony. We have been in Rutherford County since 1726. And so I use that to my advantage with being a history buff and love listening to the stories and tales that my grandparents and parents have shared with me.
Yeah, no, I'm a history buff myself, and to be able to know that history from your family is awesome. To be able to hear some of the stories passed down and to feel like you're part of it is something special. So that is an interesting fact about you. So thank you. Tell us a little bit about the Rutherford County Chamber, just to give us some perspective before we open up our topic for discussion today. Give us an idea of the size of your chamber, the scope of work you guys are involved with, staff, budget, that sort of thing, just to kind of set the table for us.
Well, the Rutherford County Chamber, as far as chambers go, is not sure if you would call us an adolescent or maybe a teenager. We have only been in existence since September of 1992.
Okay.
Before that, each little town kind of did their own little thing and had their so-called chamber. And in 1992, after one of the chambers had some problems, they decided to merge and form the Rutherford County Chamber, which really just made more sense because we all know that working together and being unified is when you can really get things done, especially in a rural area like Rutherford County. While we have a large land mass, we are one of the largest counties in North Carolina as far as land size, but we're all spread out. There's plenty of room for us to grow. Our chamber, we have currently just under 400 members, and we have a budget of $200,000. And we're a two-person team. We're located in Forest City. Rutherfordton is the county seat, and we were once there, but just before I started, they moved to Forest City. Forest City has been more of the kind of the epicenter of activity in our county, and so they felt like that was a good place for the chamber to be.
That makes sense. Well, and your comment about being an adolescent or teenage chamber, I think I see that as you guys were kind of trendsetters back in 1992 because we're seeing a lot of chambers today that are going through mergers and acquisitions like that, as especially through the pandemic. And so, chambers were stressed, members, businesses were stressed, and being able to combine efforts to be able to use staff in multiple ways really made a lot of sense for chambers today, in the recent past to merge, and you guys did it back in 1992. So I
Yes.
would take that as being a trendsetter. So
Hey, I like being the trendsetter.
there you go. So for our topic today, we're going to spend the majority of our time today talking about how you go about adding a personal touch to your communication amongst chamber members and throughout your community. And we will dive deeper into that discussion as soon as we get back from this quick break. Are you looking for a year-round, affordable, and timely shop local campaign for your chamber or CVB? Look no further. Build a custom Eat, Shop, Play mobile app with App My Community by visiting appmycommunity.com/chamberchat. App My Community mobile apps are not just simple membership directory listings. They provide many more capabilities to engage with your community. Provide your residents with a robust events calendar. Partner with a local fair, festival, or farmers market to provide a schedule, map, and other resources to promote the event. Run a small business Saturday campaign any time of the year using built-in scavenger hunts. Allow your membership to communicate directly to their customers via push notifications. Your App My Community mobile app will be a unique member benefit, allow you to generate non-dues revenue with sponsorship opportunities, and best of all, provide a valuable resource to your community. Please visit appmycommunity.com/chamberchat now to receive 10% off your first year of an App My Community mobile app. Attention, all Chamber of Commerce leaders. Are you looking for a powerful tool to help you manage your chamber? Look no further than Chamber Nation. Their comprehensive platform provides all the features you need to streamline membership management, host events, communicate with your members, and provide amazing services to your members. Plus, their expert team is always available to provide personalized support. Don't miss out on this opportunity to take your chamber to the next level at a price you will truly appreciate. Visit richardscalendar.com to learn more about Chamber Nation today. All right, Cindy, we are back. As I mentioned before the break, we're going to be talking about adding a personal touch to communication today. And full disclosure, I did feel a little bit of guilt as we were lining this up because I have automation processes to line up guests and to send reminders and everything. And maybe it takes away some of that personal touch, but nonetheless, it worked. We got you on the show. So,
Yeah.
and I will say this came about because of a personal touch and communication from Chris Mead, who introduced us. And I believe the introduction was that he wanted me to meet this firecracker from North Carolina. So Chris Mead has a way of adding a personal touch to his communication. But
Yeah.
I'm excited to learn more about how you implement the personal touch and communication as we go through this today. But I guess first of all, you have this career in insurance, which I see a lot of correlations in building those relationships, and especially when it comes to that personal touch, getting to know people's names and family members and what's important to them. How have you seen that in your previous career translate over into your chamber career now as far as adding the personal touch goes?
Oh my, I don't know if anyone has ever really been knocking at a door looking to buy life insurance. That is something most people don't get real excited about. And my dad was really old school, and he told me, we don't buy leads. You have to go out and I think his term was shake a lot of bushes before you can catch a few birds. And so I followed things back during that time, which was quite a while ago. I looked at the newspaper. I followed, they used to do with small town papers, you had wedding announcements, land transfers were listed, um, you know, births. And so all of those things, along with just being aware of a new business that would open, was the perfect lead for someone to need life insurance.
Yeah.
The health insurance would follow. That was something most people realized they needed. And so I had to be really kind of at ease, really comfortable going in. And first few times it was kind of nervous going in and meeting these people I didn't know, or to pick up the phone and contact someone. Why should they listen to me? So it was a matter of making them feel comfortable and not a hard pressure type sales job. I
Right.
really wanted to approach it as, you know, congratulations. I've seen you've had a birth, or congratulations on your marriage or a new business. Have you thought about this with preparing your future? And so with that, it has really helped me in the chamber world to approach things the same way. I want these prospective members, or the ones that I kind of took under my wing when I came into this, that were already members, to know that they could trust me, that I was someone they could feel comfortable picking up the phone and calling or emailing me with a request, or if they had a question. And I think that was one of the biggest things. Little did I know so long ago that it would prepare me for this time and this calling that I have with the chamber.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people can relate with the nerves that you talked about approaching businesses and who am I to do, kind of that imposter syndrome as they call it today. Um, and in my career, I've been in sales most of my career, and as I train new salespeople, one of the things I have to remind them, because they're nervous doing the same thing, approaching businesses, and what if I don't know this? What if I don't present it right? And it's like, you know what? This is the first time that they're hearing about this opportunity. This is the first time.
Yes,
You're the expert in this room, right?
right.
So that helps to alleviate some of that pressure, some of those nerves about who am I? Because when you put it in that kind of perspective, it's like you're right. So even as you're approaching prospective chamber members or current chamber members, you're the one that knows the offerings that your chamber has to offer. You're the one that knows the ins and outs, and you're there to learn about them so you can better
Mhm.
align what you have to offer to serve them better. And going with
Yes.
that perspective, I think, helps alleviate some of those nerves. But
Yes. And believing in your product, you know,
yes.
whether it was for me at that time, the insurance I was offering and believing and knowing the benefits of it. And the same with the chamber. And having lived here my whole life, I do remember uh, when the chamber was organized and the challenges and the struggles that they went through, as well as the triumphs. And so I really believed it. And before I agreed to go out and see members on which I thought was going to be a temporary thing, I really studied the chamber. I studied not only our chamber, I studied chambers in general to know what we're all about and the influence that we can have and how we can advocate. And you know, we're there for them and to bring unity so that it can make our area a better place to live. So with knowing the product and really believing in it, the enthusiasm is genuine.
Yeah. So, with our topic today about adding a personal touch to our communication efforts, I see it really as relationship building. And maybe you see it differently. I don't know. I think when you sum it up, that's what it comes down to is building relationships and showing that you care to these people, these members that you're communicating with. What are some of the ways that you've learned and adapted to show your care and your interest in these individuals as you communicate with them?
Well, if at all possible, if they have a social media page, I follow it and I interact with them on there. That helps them to know that we're watching, that we know what's happening. If I see something interesting, some type of announcement, they don't always contact the chamber about it, but I see it there. So I can repost it with some personalized comments. And I can also share that with my assistant and like, let's include this in our newsletter. This is big news. Or if it's something, an accomplishment for them, you know, we like to do that. Um, people, people like to know that they're being noticed. So
Mhm.
that's some things that I do.
So I've seen, and I don't mean to cut you off or
No,
interrupt,
no,
but I think this ties in well. I've seen some chambers where to make sure their members feel noticed is for those who maybe purchase an ad space in their chamber directory or their chamber map or the sponsors of certain events to give them special shout outs on social
oh,
media and even resharing, like if it's an ad in your chamber directory, for example, to share that ad on social media and leverage that a little further, add your personal touch on it, but it also drives people to the awareness of promoting the chamber in whatever publications or events that you're promoting with that. So it kind of
yes,
gets two birds with one stone.
yes. That is really just I see it as the very least that we can do. If people are willing to be a sponsor, we I always make sure that they are acknowledged in our newsletter or any emails, our social media. I always make sure I do that. And, you know, it's just something that it's like they really feel like, oh, well, I am getting the recognition. I am getting the exposure. One of the things that I've recently started doing is a local radio station has a community morning report. This is something you probably wouldn't have in a larger city, but in our little area, they call around, they talk to different people, and they give a report for each community. I watch them on Facebook Live, so that way I can use the live chat, and it's a great way to do plugs for the chamber. Anything as far as like a new member or ribbon cutting, I always mention it on there.
Yeah.
If we have something special coming up, like for instance, we have our annual golf tournament and fundraiser that's coming up soon. And the sponsors with that, I always make sure to mention them. That way it's free advertising for us,
Yeah.
but they're getting advertising too.
Yeah.
So
When
just
it doesn't cost the chamber really anything but a few minutes to post it, but it makes a huge impact for that business. So next time when they consider being a sponsor or participating in whatever event, instead of saying what's in it for me, at least they know that tangible thing the chamber went that extra step to make sure that their business is being noticed. So
yes.
adding that personal touch.
Yes, that's right. That's right. And when you're reaching a whole other audience, like with the radio station that may not have thought about following the chamber on Facebook, but I have found since I've been doing that that our Facebook following has increased.
Yeah. Yeah,
And,
there's
it's a different group that listens at 7 in the morning to a community kind of roundup and report with what's going on with the Union Mills area. Nobody but someone in Rutherford County knows Union Mills. Where is that?
right, right. Yeah, they're going to tend to be people who care about the community and want to have more involvement possibly. So
Right.
that's key. What are some of these other ways with adding the personal touch into communication that you
Well,
employ?
face to face, that that is the definitely a personal touch. You can't get much more personal. So when someone joins our chamber or they renew their membership and the certificates are printed out, uh, you know, not only sign those and frame them, I take them and deliver them to them with their new little uh, cling for their door to their business, and I just hand deliver it and thank them for renewing or becoming a part of the chamber, and I inform them about the benefits, member to member discounts, and I encourage them, you know, you need to try this, and just letting them know, I have enough time to come out and see you. Now I do
Yeah.
try to plan it to where when I know where I'm going for the day, I have those things with me that are going to be on my route of where I'm going. But it doesn't take much time to drop that off and just stop by and say hello and see how they're doing.
Yeah.
It really makes a difference. And I have found everyone always has time for at least a brief chat.
Yeah, yeah. And even without an appointment necessarily, I mean that you're going to run across it where they're in a meeting and they can't see
Right.
you, but if they can and you're dropping something off for them, you're going to show gratitude for the investment they're making in the chamber. They're
That's
going to
right.
take 2 minutes to say hi and receive that. So
Yes.
I love that. So I know, I mean, in today's world, people are so busy, especially when you look at chamber executives, they're so busy. There's so much going on that we're looking for ways to maybe shortcuts or ways to systematize or be able to leverage our time in a more efficient way. So what would you say to those who are like, I need to really hone down my time to encourage them to add the personal touch? What kind of return are you seeing on that investment of taking that time to add the personal touch in your communication?
Well, I'm sure I'm not the only one that has their email account on their phone so they can check their emails, because I have found if I'm just sitting in the office, I'm really not doing my job.
Right.
So I'll be checking emails when I wake up every morning. That's one of the first things I do. And so I look at it. We just recently had a presentation, our professional women's group called the Chamber Chicks, by the way, and I'll tell you about that later, what it means. But the program was on time management. And so there was some good things I've learned from that. So prioritizing the ones, go ahead and read them, go ahead and look at it. And then if it's something where I can answer quickly, I try to go ahead and answer it quickly. If it's something urgent, definitely try to answer that. And if not, if it's an email maybe where they're just wanting us to check on something, I will forward that to my assistant Lily, and then she'll take care of it. So I'm not answering every one of the emails, because any of these other chamber execs can tell you, and I'm sure they could share a lot more with me because their years of experience. A lot of the emails are kind of sell you something, or can you do this? So those are the ones that kind of go into file 13.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense. So I know we're going to start wrapping things up here, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to share any tip or action item for listeners who are looking to take their chamber to the next level. What kind of suggestion or tip or advice would you offer for them?
I would say first, listen to what your members are saying. And that's where I think the relationship part is important. We need to listen and observe what's going on with their business, maybe where their struggles are. And if at all possible, try to help them through that rough patch, whatever they may be dealing with. I really feel like that's important. Also, in our case, and I just mentioned our women's group, I saw a need, and also as I shared the idea of forming a professional women's group, that a lot of ladies were interested in that. So we've only had 2 meetings now, but each one is growing and it's spreading. More people are talking about it. I've got to explain this thing with chicks.
Yes, I was going to ask you. You'd mentioned that, gave us that teaser. Tell us what that's about.
Yes, so I kept thinking, okay, uh, you know, I've got to think of something where people can remember it. And I saw some of these where, women on fire or power up and all these really strong things. And I'm like, oh my gracious. I don't know. I'm not sure what I want to do. And I don't want to mimic somebody.
Yeah.
I want it to be something that's original. Now, I'm sure there's been some other chamber chicks, but ours is an acronym.
Okay.
CHICS stands for community, health, influence, connection, knowledge, and support. And I feel like that pretty much sums up what our group is about. We want to help our community, promote women's health, the influence of each of those women. I want each of them to know they're vitally important to the success of that group, because their sphere of influence can make an impact. the connections, obviously. If you're a businesswoman, those connections there, you can meet people that you may not know about. This has brought some out of the woodwork that were even some home-based business
Yeah.
women. One lady, for instance, she's in like the cryptocurrency. Another one is a marketing firm that she's just working from her home and making those connections. The knowledge, like the program on time management, that was something I felt like every one of us could benefit from, and the support. So that we're there for each other. There's a variety of ages. So whether you're a young woman starting off in the business world, you have these mentors that can help support you and kind of carry you through, whether it's with your business or even in your personal life, those things. So that's what CHICS stands for.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you were able to make an acronym out of it. Gives a little more meaning to it, shows the intentionality behind the name. But another maybe tidbit when it comes to creating a name for a group like this or an event. And I did this when I started Chamber Chat Podcast. I was trying to figure out what would be a name that people would remember that tells what it is without, being too wordy. And if you can come up with the name that you like the most and have some casual conversations with other people, maybe it's
Mhm.
chamber members, and say, hey, we're thinking of doing this, women's networking group, and maybe call it like Chamber Chicks or something. Like, don't have that be the focus of the conversation, but drop it in there. And
Right.
then, like 2 weeks later, circle back with that person. Say, hey, do you remember that conversation we had about this women's group? Do you remember the
Mhm.
name that I told you we are considering? And if
Yeah.
they can repeat it back to you, you got a winner, right?
Yes.
Where if they're like, I
That's
don't remember. I don't remember what the name was. But you just casually drop it in there. And if it doesn't resonate, go to the next name on your list and have those casual conversations with some other people until you get a winner. So,
yes. That is something that uh I have been doing. It's like I'll see some of them like, hey, we would love it if you could join us. Would you like to get away at least once a month during lunch with some other ladies? And when I tell them the name, they always smile, you
yeah.
know, and they do. I've had some that I haven't even mentioned it to, and they'll say something to me like, "Oh yeah, I've heard about you chicks."
I love it. Well, I like asking everyone I have on the show as we look to the future of chambers of commerce. How do you see the future of chambers and their purpose going forward?
Oh, I I think while it is a really an age-old and tried and true resource for businesses, it's something where we have to continue to educate because there's new generations that don't realize what chamber is. But when take the time and you share with them and you let them know, they're excited about it too. And they do like that personal touch, the interaction. So many, especially during COVID, everything was done remotely and from, just behind a screen. And when people can be a part of a chamber and it's like, oh, this is promote my business. It's really a good value. Look what you get. And you get to meet all these other really great folks that have businesses and wow, this is really going to help me. And I love the success stories when people connect and they do business with one another later. But I think it's something where we can't just sit back and leave people uneducated about what the chamber's about. It's a process that we're just having to repeat. There's those foundations that we have to lay, but I really see that there's a real need for it because in today's economy, some of the things are not always pro-business.
Yeah.
And it's making it tough for them. So knowing that they have someone, an organization, a backing that's their advocate, and keep them in touch with, like, these grants are available, or this, go to this resource, this will be great, or even just some simple things like up until just this past year, we did not offer a monthly dues where it could be drafted. And I saw how some of the businesses were struggling. And so when we allowed that, oh my, they're like, oh, that's great because I really want to stay. I really want to retain my chamber membership. And that just really lifts me up because then it's like, well, if they're really, they're struggling, but they see and they really want to keep those ties with the chamber, I think that's a great testimony as to the future of chambers.
Right. Well, you're doing a great example of keeping the community informed on what chambers do with your involvement with these Facebook groups and, chiming in and saying, well, this is what the chamber does, or giving the plug where it makes sense, not hijacking the conversation at all, but just being there as that voice for business, right? Saying what the
Right.
chamber does. I think it's a great example. And yes, with the membership dues, I think in today's world, with the way software is structured now with your invoicing, it's so easy to set them up on a monthly dues schedule if that's what makes sense for them. Why would you eliminate somebody because they can't do the one-time payment or a
Right.
quarterly payment? Just make it easy, make it fit for them, meet them where they're at, and support their business. They tend to be the ones that need the most support from a chamber. So
That's right.
there
And
for them.
those that have struggled, when you're sticking with them, they tend to be the ones that are going to be the most loyal to. And that's
Yes.
something, as I look back with my past career, when, something tragic happened and I had to do a death claim, and you deliver that, or with, you know, they can use their cash value of their policy to go in and have a down payment for a home, and it's helping them to get established. They remember that.
Right.
And
For sure.
so some of those from my past are now my chamber members.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Well, Cindy, I wanted to give you a chance to share any contact information for listeners who might want to reach out and connect with you and build a relationship or learn from things that you're doing. What would be the best way for someone to reach out and connect?
Well, they can always email, and my email is Cindy Cobb at rutherfordcoc.org. Can also, if they would like to call the chamber, 828-287-3090. That's one way. We are on Facebook, Rutherford County Chamber of Commerce. There is a Rutherford County, Tennessee. We occasionally will have those that are in Tennessee that
Do you have any
have
members in Tennessee? No.
we've had, believe it or not, we've had some where they start following our Facebook page and they applied online to our chamber.
They just love the work you're doing,
And so we'll pick up the phone and give them a call. It's like, I think you may have applied to the wrong chamber.
That's funny. This has been great. It's always a good conversation just to have these reminders of adding that personal touch, building those genuine relationships, having those those touch points on a regular basis, not just when you're asking for dues and renewing a membership or sponsorships. So building those relationships and keeping it genuine, I think, is key. But Cindy,
Yeah.
I appreciate you being with us today here on Chamber Chat Podcast, sharing your insights and experience and the value that you brought to the show today. So I appreciate
Well,
you.
thank you so much. It was quite an honor. And uh, the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid. Just some simple things can make a world of difference.
That is correct. If you are a chamber professional, please subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. When you subscribe to Chamber Chat Podcast, new episodes will show up in your podcast app each week as they are released. If you're finding value in this podcast, please leave us a rating and a review in iTunes. But most importantly, please share Chamber Chat Podcast with your colleagues that are in the industry.